Are hand traps about to be smashed on the ban list?
Draw your last pathetic card so I can end this, Yugi.
My grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards, Kaiba, but it does contain the unstoppable
Dueling Wave.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Glad to have you back in the Dueling Wave midst. We're here with another interesting topic about the future of this game that we have all an abusive relationship with. But before we get into all that noise, let's go real quick detour to bring up the Discord. That's right. Plug in the Discord again. Come join our small but awesome community that keeps growing. Participate in some fun Yu-Gi-Oh discussion and duels. We have a Discord ban list where we have banned all sorts of degenerate cards like floodgates and all sorts of broken boss monsters that negate you into oblivion. We actually can get into a grind game and have a really fun back and forth. It's a lot of different stuff. We even have Kick Kalos unbanned for all you tier players. So come join us, come have some fun, and come not get FTK'd in one turn. So go check it out. It's down below in the description because we'd love to have you. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the topic of this video. The new hand trap that just came out in the Infinite Forbidden, Dominus Purge. I'm sure you've heard of it. Let's talk about this card. Card reads as such. If your opponent controls a card, you can activate this card from your hand. Cool. A hand trap. Wow, very nice. When a card or effect is activated that includes an effect that adds a card or cards from the deck to the hand, negate that effect. Then, if you have a trap in your grave, you can destroy that card. It's pretty cool. You get a little bonus effect. If you activate this card from your hand, you cannot activate the effects of dark, water, fire, monsters for the rest of this duel. You can only activate one of these per turn. So this card is really, really interesting. It's a different take on an Ash Blossom type effect, right? It's more watered down. It's only one, and it can only hit one, aspect of Ash. Since it can only touch the adding from deck, not summoning and whatnot. Kind of like how Mulchummy is, the watered down version of Max C. It's still very broken, but, it's watered down. This card's very good, but it's not Ash Blossom. But Ash Blossom is one of the most busted cards in the game's history. That's why it's ran in every deck. But it got me thinking when I saw this card. And also when I saw the card that's coming out in the next set, the Dominus Impulse. Why is Konami releasing these cards into a game where there's arguably 5 to 8 more versatile hand traps to run than this card? Cards like the aforementioned Ash Blossom, Impermanence, Effect Veiler, Nibiru, Bell, Droll, Bestials, Mourner, more and more. Like, you get the point. How could anyone justify this card in their deck with so many more versatile and impactful hand traps in the game? Hell, this card even has a limitation that none of these other cards do, where it locks you out of 3 very, very popular attributes in the game. Basically, half of the attributes in the game get taken away from you. One being the most popular and most supported in Dark, and the other being Fire, which is the most supported of the last year or so. Now, this does play around Talents and Thrust, which is really nice. You don't have to play into the hand rip or draw or whatever. So there's that. More importantly, I think this signifies a significant change in Konami's design philosophy. I don't think they make this card and just go, here's another hand trap, whatever. Like, to me, I think what they're doing here is signaling like, hey, changes to the game might be coming. Look at the hand traps coming out in the next set. Like I said, we're getting the aforementioned other Dominus card, the Dominus Impulse. And we're, of course, getting Mulchummy, or the Diet Max C version, right? The Mulchummy 3.0, not the hand one, the deck one that we discussed in the video above. I think at a minimum, Konami here will possibly hit Max C in Master Duel and OCG. I think it's why they printed the Mulchummies. They're not going to have a million Max C type cards. It would just make the game unplayable because the Mulchummy could stack with a Max C and you draw 2 cards every time. Like, that's crazy. And in fact, the Mulchummy could stack with a Max C and another Mulchummy. So technically you're going second. If you resolve 3 of them, you can draw 3 cards for every summon from the deck or extra deck. Crazy. When we look at the other Dominus cards, the Dominus Impulse, it's also a trap, plays around talents and thrust, like we just said. And it has sort of like an Ash-like effect, like a different aspect of Ash's effect, where it stops special summons, but this kind of stops from anywhere, which is really nice, at the cost of locking you from the 3 other attributes that Dominus Purge doesn't, which means that Konami's trying to tell you if you're going to use these from the hand, you cannot use both of them in the same deck because you're going to lock yourself out of all 6 attributes and you should lose the game because you can't play a card. So all this begs the question, why release these and why release them in the state that they are? They're clearly less power level with more restriction, just like the Mulchummies. Well, if you haven't figured it out so far yourself, I think that some of the hand traps that we have in the game are probably going to be hit in some capacity. Things like Ash, Imperm, hell, maybe even Valor could be touched sooner than we think. There's so many of them. They've reached a critical mass in the game. And I, for one, I like this. I think that hand traps should have a drawback. I don't think they should just be mindlessly thrown into every deck because, hey, I have like 10 spots. Why not just throw this in there? I think that hand traps should be exclusively for going second so that you can't back up a going first board since going first is so powerful. You shouldn't be able to back up a going first board with hand traps. But if you do, then your hand traps should have some drawbacks like these Dominus cards. Or like at least the Molchummies, right, where they're exclusively for going second. I don't believe that any non-engine should ever be a mandatory include staple in 99% of decks that exist, like the current Ash, Imperm, Valor are in the TCG, and addition to that, Max C in the OCG. These cards all hurt game design, especially Max C and Ash. Every deck now has to play cards that, instead of them searching, they place them on the field or they place them in the graveyard, then bring them back to hand, right? Like, they do these weird effects to dodge Ash so that it doesn't meet the 3 different lines of text that Ash can touch. Decks have quick effect, move your guys around type of effects, such as Vanquish Souls, where like, hey, I'm not here, I'm here now in the hand, this guy come out for me, you dodged, you missed, the Imperm missed, oh, I have Cartesia, now a Luber can't get hit by Imperm, oh, neither can the Lubellion or the Albion or whatever, making effect Valor and Imperm, like, oh, I have to be able to play around these cards. These design philosophies are what push power creep so far so fast. What happened first is that Ash Blossom was printed to make Konami money. Right, it was a $100 card on release. Actually, I think it was a little bit more. I know this was forever ago, but follow me. The card is still technically making them money because every reprint, even the commons, are a decent price. Right, some push like $3, $4, $5. They were reprinted 7 different rarities in the Rarity Collection 1, and it's still decently like expensive for how many printings there are. Because you can just in any deck, let's say you want to have 5 decks built up so you can have fun with your friends, 1 competitive and like 4 mess around decks. If you want to not have to move your Ash around, you still need 5 sets of Ash. That's 15 Ash Blossoms just for like your random guide because you include them in every deck. But once Ash was made, every deck from then on basically had to have a way to play around it, play through it, or it was essentially power creeped out of the game. It was almost like Ash Blossom is your set rotation, right? We released the Ash. Now every deck that can't play through Ash, such as we talked about Blue Eyes White Dragon, the new structure deck cards that came out pre the new structure deck, Ash just dunks on Blue Eyes, right? Blue Eyes would brick by itself. Add Ash to that, you're never going to play, right? I mean, they did give us that Prayers card now, which kind of is like Ash bait to a T, but still you understand what I'm saying. These type of broken cards that come out that are like $100 staples, they become the set rotation in the game, not some arbitrary like, hey, this is the last date that you can use these sets. I could be reaching, don't get me wrong, could be reaching, but I think they'll address some of these problems soon. It frees up card design if you do this and helps make the game more skillful because you have more decisions to make in deck building and playing and everything. You don't have to just be like, oh yeah, I got 3 Ash auto include, 3 Imperm auto include, right? Deck decision making isn't gonna be just I have my 20 card engine of Snake Eyes or Tenpai or whatever the new stuff is, because that's what every deck does now. Oh, and then I have my 10 to 20 slots, probably 20 now, 20 slots for my best hand traps to fill the rest of the deck out, right? Like, what kind of deck design is that? That's terrible, right? You're basically then just banking on, hand trap, Tenpai combo kill. Like, my God, what are we doing? But hey, that's just like my opinion, man. What do you guys think? Don't forget to let me know below so that we can discuss this topic. I try to respond to everybody because I'm appreciative to anyone that takes the time out of their day to comment on these videos. And as long as it's not vile garbage. Also, while you're down there, make sure to subscribe and like this video because it lets me reach my maximum power level. This isn't even my final form, fool. Anyway, here's another video to shove you down the YouTube rabbit hole. So anyway, I'll see ya as always.